you now. When I let myself cause my heart so much misery, I will not break the way you did. You felt so hard. I've learned the hard way to never let it get that far. Because of you, I never stray too far from the sidewalk. Because of you, I learn to play on the safe side so I don't get hurt. Because of you, I find it hard to trust not only me but everyone around me. Because of you, I am afraid I lose my way, and it's not too long before you point it out. I cannot cry because I know that's weakness in your eyes. I'm forced to fake a smile, a laugh every day of my life. My heart can't possibly break when it wasn't even holding sideways. Because of you, I never strayed too far from the sidewalk. Because of you, I learn to play on the safe side so I don't get hurt. Because of you, I find it hard to trust not only me but everyone around me. Because of you, I am afraid. Because of you. Welcome everybody back to Relationship Cake and Ice Cream, and tonight I'm going to be talking about domestic violence. This is a subject that, is very challenging to talk about. So many women in the world experience some form of domestic violence in their lifetime. I heard something the other day to say 1 in every 4 women experience domestic violence. 1 in every 4. So that's a lot of people, a lot of ladies. And I don't want to leave out the men because there are episodes where men are also victims of domestic violence. But today, I'm focusing on women and domestic violence because usually for women, domestic violence is extreme, it can be deadly, and domestic violence is a silent killer. It is cloaked in silence. So many women experience, but it still today in 2020 is taboo to even talk about it. The last thing any woman wants anyone to know is that she is the victim of domestic violence. It crosses all cultures, social, economic status, race, nationality. Domestic violence is prevalent in many families across the world, everywhere. Domestic violence. So let me start off. Let's talk about what is domestic violence. Domestic violence is any violence that occurs in your home, mostly. Um, it could be any space that you spend time with. It's usually on a domestic level. And for this conversation, we're going to talk about romantic relationships and marriages, boyfriend, girlfriend, dating. Domestic violence shows up in many areas that we're not even aware of. There are teenage girls experiencing domestic violence where they are being violated. So domestic violence violates a person emotionally, mentally, sexually, and physically. Okay. Domestic violence can also stem over into your finances. Okay. If somebody's taking something from you without your consent, taking your money, your credit cards, going into your accounts, using your debit card. All right. That's financial abuse. So domestic violence is people experience. Sometimes it's not just one form of abuse. Many times it's many forms of abuse. Emotionally, it is emotionally um, a killer to your emotions. It almost leaves you emotionally barren because after so much abuse, you find it hard to engage emotionally um in the relationship. I believe a lot of women probably check out on an emotional and mental level at some point, especially following or dealing with physical abuse on a regular basis. Okay, domestic violence. Domestic violence is a killer of the soul. It robs you of who you are. It robs you of your identity, period. After a while, you don't even know who you are anymore. Domestic violence also robs you with the ability to think anymore rationally, to believe that you are a solid thinker. It doesn't allow you to believe that you're able to make good decisions because on that realm, in the physical realm or the realm of the relationship, period, the abuser is attempting to take control of your very being, every part of your being that there is. The abuser is attempting to take control of that, of your being. Remind you that abuse, let me just say this, abuse is never about you, the person being abused. It is always about the abuser. Okay, the person that is doing the abusing. It is about that person and that person's feelings of inadequacy, inability to feel good about themselves. So what they do, they try to break their partners who they usually get in a relationship with, and they let all the good qualities. It's like playing a game. Okay, you get in a relationship with that person, you don't see any bad qualities. They're on their best behavior, and then one day, boom, something happens. There's an argument. You want to do this. Maybe he or she doesn't want to do that. And the next thing you know, you are in a relationship that is abusive. Now, the first time you're probably saying to yourself, oh, this is not going to happen again. It was a one time thing. I think people try to rationalize, like, maybe the person was stressed out. It was such a odd reaction to a person that you've been with for some time that you never experienced that you sit and tell yourself that that was a one time thing. But it is proven that a person who is abusive will abuse their partner over and over and over again. Anyone that's being abused should understand that abuse should never be tolerated from the beginning. If you find yourself in an abusive relationship, you should get out immediately. Okay, but you have to do it very safely because most of the time, once the abuser takes control of your life, it is very difficult for you to break away from that abuser. Abusers use tactics like fear. Their goal is to instill fear in you because whatever it is they need from you, they need you to stay there so that they can get that from you. Okay? So they're usually very apologetic in the beginning. They'll tell you, they're sorry. They don't know why they did that. Okay, that's what they usually start off with. That's to make you stay, to make you rethink you're leaving. They want you to stay. They're going to convince you that they're not going to do that again. That was a one time thing. In many cases, they're going to try to convince you that it was something that you did that was a trigger. But it's nothing that you could do that'll be a trigger for someone who just does not have the ability to cope, to control their own emotions. That's something an abuser has not learned. In a lot of ways, when a woman is being abused, she's considered beneath that man. So he thinks that he should always have the control, call the shots, say what goes. And anytime a woman tries to express herself against that because of his own feelings of inadequacy, it makes him feel even more inadequate. So that puts him on a defense, which puts him um, right at that point where he's going to boil over because he's not asking you, okay, the person that he's going to abuse. He's not asking you for your opinion. He wants you to do what he wants. That's it. That's the whole situation, is that he wants you to move, think, and be who he wants you to be. So let's sum it up like that. You understand? He wants you to move and be and think the way that he wants you to. That's it. And when you don't do that, he feels threatened, okay? Because now you're exercising your own identity, your own independence, your own autonomy, and he won't like that, okay? Because of his own inadequacy. So when you get ready to get out, you must get out quietly, okay? It must not be a thing where you're confrontational in front of this person, especially if he's dangerous to you. You have to get out very quietly. And let's just take this domestic abuse a step further. Let's say you're with this man and you wind up being with him, you wind up having children by him. Now the children are involved with the domestic abuse. It's no way around it other than to leave, because if you're raising daughters, they're going to think that this is acceptable behavior for a man. Either they're going to think that, or they're going to turn totally away from finding a man who is like that man, okay, being their father or their stepfather or whoever it is. And if you're raising the son is going to believe that this is all right behavior to treat a woman. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do to change that, okay, other than get out of that situation and then have the children have some type of counseling so they can know that this is not acceptable. Okay, but if you continue to stay in it, they're going to think that it's all right. And it's not all right. Domestic violence is never all right. It destroys everything in its path. It's not like you'll ever get over it. Even if you decided to stay for the sake of the children, because that's usually people's reason why they stay a lot of time is fear. They don't want to take the children away from their fathers or whatever. Even if you decide to stay, those memories, even if it changes at some point, the memories will constantly be there playing over and over and over again in your head of this abuse. You'll be living in fear every day because you won't know what's a trigger. Most abusive people, you never know what their trigger is going to be. It could be something so simple that you're not even expecting. They'll make up lies. You don't even have to have a trigger. Okay, you wake up today and they'll make up some lie that's going on in their own head. Okay, it doesn't even have to be the truth. They'll make up the lie in their own head and then they'll act on it. A lot of abusive men always talking about some woman is cheating. That seems to be the biggest thing because of their own feelings of inadequacy. They'll constantly say some woman is cheating, even if the woman is just being friendly, saying hi to a neighbor, hi to the grocery clerk. If she just saying hi to somebody, hello, it could be anybody. They'll say, oh, she's cheating. That'll be their excuse for that'll be the catalyst. Okay, their own thoughts in their own head. It doesn't take much for an abuser to abuse you. Whatever they think is so, is enough for them to act on the abuse. They're irrational. It is going to be irrational. It won't make any kind of sense. You could be loyal as hell. You could be there being loyal for 10 years, okay, 15 years. You could be loyal as you want, but because of the inadequacies of their own feelings about self, they will take any situation and turn it into something else. So domestic violence, I think, is one of the number one. It should be on the list, okay, of number one diseases in the world, worldwide. Okay, and I don't understand how they so much of it looks like they don't even hardly talk about it. Every once in a while, you might see a commercial or something on it. They need to give classes. These people need to have some type of class on how to date, okay, relationship classes or whatever it is, because a lot of times when people get married, sometimes men, they think, I guess it's a throwback to when women didn't have any rights and they were a man's property. These men think when they marry you that they own you. You're their property. They could do to you whatever they want. Years ago under the law, they could do to you whatever they want when you was married, way back when. because that was the law in the book. If you was their wife, they could do to you what